Welcome and come on in. Come on in today. One, two, three, here we go. Okay, 1, 2, 3, I'm talking, so if you hear something, shows that the mic is on. Also, see if I can play something. Let everything I have heard praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. Let everything I have heard praise the Lord. Let everything I have heard, let everything that have breath, let everything I have heard praise the Lord. Oh, let everything I have heard praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. Let everything I have heard praise the Lord. Let everything I have breath, let everything that have breath, oh, let everything I have breath praise the Lord. Praise ye the Lord of heaven and earth. Praise ye the Lord, who's the head above all. Praise ye the Lord. Praise Adonai. 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 Oh, let everything that have breath praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. Let everything that have breath praise the Lord. Let everything that have breath, let everything that have breath, oh, let everything that have breath praise the Lord. All right, so I think the sound is okay. Not have to worry about that. All right, let me see. Let me start with introduction then. Let me get in here now. Let me give you the beginning. Second here. Let's do the beginning. Countdown. Pow, pow goes the powerhouse, and the COVID-19-MAN has come to deliver you from the empty land, from the ones who have been silenced to the promised land of the Alefbet, which is the original place for the soul of a man, where he can now get his jubilee and abide safe like he's never been, in the power of the Father, in the powerhouse, cause that's what War Tech Trick, T.o.r.a.h, in the Alefbet we're connected. Word deck trick, double rected. In the powerhouse we're connected. Truth in the T.O.R.A.H where it is, that's right. And whether you like it or not, I just don't give a damn. Cause in this thing, the end is gonna be for sure. It's got a date before the song began to score. This ain't no lie, we about to fly. Cause in the truth, there's nothing that can be denied. Here's the COVID-19 man is hooking you up to the Alefbet, to the powerhouse, with you waving. The COVID-19 man is gonna hook you up. Cause that's what word deck trick, double rectech. In the Alefbet we're connected. Word deck trick, double rectech. To no one else I'm genuflecting. Word deck trick, double rectech. To the powerhouse I'm connected. And then I want to get your power back. Cause you will find in there the powerhouse not scared. You won't be silenced. Nobody can touch what you will find in there. Gets to cut the masking back of lies. The righteous now they cries. Cause the COVID-19 man is gonna hook you up to the powerhouse. Live the power show. Ride this mule around. Welcome, my fellow Barbarians, and it's good to have you. It's good to see you. It's wonderful. I wanted to do other things, but this is going to be a very lengthy program. But we're going to do the main one here, and at the end, after I give the prices, I'm going to attach the one that we did at the Golden Corral in, I believe it's in Downing, right? The one that we did over there. You still had a chance to work on it, but everything is going to be here. So, I know some of you got to go to sleep, so you can go afterwards. But at least we're going to do the main one right now. Give the lessons, do the prices, and then I'm going to put that in there and attach it at the end because that was a very important one that it had to do with Alefbet Inc. And so I'll talk a little bit about what I call here and nowism. All right, this is what I am preaching. Here and nowism, and schisms and separations and divisions. Because we are in the here and now, and that's where we're always going to be. Come tomorrow, it's going to be here and now. We are always in the awareness of the here and now. The here and now is an everlasting presence. Okay? And we keep on thinking that things are going to come later in the future. All of that is what I explain on Sundays. Sleight of hand, trickery. So we're going to be looking at different ways in which the Torah was given for us to understand that we have it all in the here and now. We have the Spirit of God, the nature of God, the essence of God, the manifestation of God, the expression of God in the air, and the expression of God in our soul. All of that, we're going to connect it together. And that's what the Torah was trying to make us understand, that we had this whole treasure here and now. But somehow all these narratives came along after the Torah, and they steal away from you all the treasure that you have in the here and now, and put it in another person, put it in another place, put it in another time, so that then you're thinking that all these treasures that you always have in the here and now are somehow spread out all over the place. And so that's what we're going to look at today, and going to find out, how things are set up together and how people are tricked. All right, so this is basically, so we're continuing what we have started. When God gave us the Torah, it said, thou shalt not commit parricide, and thou shalt only serve paradise. That's basically what the whole 613 mitzvot is trying to tell us. Because parricides means the killing of the Alefbet, the killing of the father. You're not going to commit murder to the representation of the Ab. The Alefbet means father in Hebrew, and so it was given the Torah for you will know how to raise the alphabet, which represents the father, as the father and mother to all, inside each one of us. And that was all process for the here and now. The whole thing is already, we know the character of God, and he was going to manifest himself in us. And as he grew in us, we were going to understand his mindset. But all these little pixels and narratives came along and took away all this titles from him. You know, the title of all that he is the God, the giver of all directions, the governing operations director. You know, the servant, the one that started, the one that said that, hey, we can be gods, we can be givers of operations directors, we can be governings, we can take the Alefbet and run with it and do whatever we want with it. And that's what the whole thing started. There's already a program in the sense that God has already his character and he doesn't need to change. So that's why thou shalt not commit parricide, and thou shalt only serve paradise. And then below that I wrote, here and nowism and schisms. Here's oneness, and I'll explain that more or less. But let me get to the other screen here, and I can tell, I can see some of you here already. It's lovely to see you, Brian. I'm glad that you made it back. I got to share some of your pictures. They were lovely vacation time. Well, nothing vacation, it was bonding time with your mom. I hope that things get better with her. And I happen to see Rosa here too. And Brian is here as well. And also Andy. Wow, the whole regular crew is here. And it's good to have you guys. Perfect, perfect. All right, let me get to a screen where we can all see each other here. Let me see. Let me get you here. Dun, dun, dun. All right, let me get here. All right, not this one. Let me get to the one before that. Okay, come on now. Don't take it. Okay, here we go. All right, so here we are. Okay, now let me see if I can put a picture here so we can be talking about the stuff that we're going to be talking about right now. Let me get to the folder here. The lessons for today. Yeah, so today we're looking at this. Let me put it in here so we can have it in the front. All right, so let me put it out here. All right, so here we go. And so that's what we're talking about here. Thou shalt not commit, parricide, but let me take you to the observatory because it shows me the whole picture better than in here. And there's not that much distraction that is. Let me get you here to the, we're gonna observe T.o.r.a.h right now. Let's go to the main observatory one. Let me get you here. Here we go, see if we can see it. All right, so here we go now. Perfect. All right, so that's the one I'm talking about. So that's the title of the main one today. Thou shalt not commit parricide. And now, let me see, is this showing? Seems like it's not blending in the background or something. Something about the color there, it's not right. But I guess you can see my face anyhow. Yeah, but something about fading out in my head, something like that. I can see something fading. Well, whatever. We're going to go with it. I have time to fix it right now. But this is the main thing that we're talking about here. Thou shalt not commit parricide. And then, so here are nowism and schisms. Here is ongoing, nurturing economies, nourishing ecstatically sense-making solutions. Okay? We have everything, in the here and now. And that's what I'm going to be addressing here, And then we're going to be talking about the sleight of hand. And this is part of what I wrote, what I said on Sunday. The sleight of hand is the trickery that people do. There's something called the sleight of hand. That magicians do that, They make you believe that they have holding something in their hand. They make it disappear. And then they make it come out of your body, So you give an impression. So there's a way that you can do tricks with your hands. But there's another way in which you can do tricks to the soul with a handbook. So the original handbook is the T.o.r.a.h, the one that says here, the light of the T.o.r.a.h, because the T.o.r.a.h is the T.O.R.A.H, the light of the T.o.r.a.h, the light of the officially regulating Alefbetisized handbook. That's the one given to us to know how to take care of the alphabet inside of us, okay? So that is the light of the T.o.r.a.h. All right, now on that note, then the rest of the other books that came after the T.o.r.a.h, I call it the sleight, the trickery of these handbooks. The trickery of the other redefined alphabetized handbooks, because they're putting even the magic books, they're all alphabetized, so there's an order to them. But the whole purpose of it is to steal from the heritage of the Torah. The heritage of the Torah is the here and now, with all of the titles of God being manifested in the here and now, and being useful in the here and now, and applicable for the here and now. And somehow those things are stolen away from him, from the here and now. And so we're left in the here and now empty, feel like we have nothing, that we have to struggle to become something. And all of that is about to disappear now, because this has been made very clear to me. All right, so let me make sure that you guys are hearing me here. Let me see. All right, can you hear me? Okay, I can see the mic going on. Perfect. All right, so that's what I'm talking about. Let me get here to this thing, because I don't want to. All right, so the sleight of hand is the trickery, okay? So there's a way in which, and I was talking on Sunday about the trick that usually people do, that they make something disappear and they make it come out of behind your ear. I found some video that I want to share with you about that trick. And it's interesting. You might even learn. It tells you how to do it, okay? So just relax, and we're going to look at some sleight of hand that people do, and then I'm going to show you how the sleight of the handbook is done, so that people take you away from what the Torah wants you to see when it comes to the taking care of the alphabet into a whole new story. It has nothing to do with taking care of the alphabet to become the father and mother to all in this, in the present here. So that's the thing that we're going to look here and understand carefully. So let me take you here to something here. So I'm going to put you back, you guys, in the screen here. So now you can see yourselves here. All right, I can see you guys. All right. Hey, Michael Rose. Yeah. Good to have you, man. Glad you join us. Yeah, we're having a little get together here. We're studying Torah a little bit, and understanding why Torah is relevant for the here and now, and how all the other pesels, all the religions try to point everything in a different direction. But you'll understand as we go. And we also give money away, so I'm glad you can join us. So welcome, Michael Rosen, you guys. He's an old friend of mine. Known him since the old church. All right, so, and I see the rest of you are here. Perfect. We're doing good. All right, so let me show you what I'm talking about. So there's a sleight of hand, because I want to relate that to the sleight of the handbook, how the original handbook was given for the purpose of using the alphabet. Alefbet, Ab, it means father in Hebrew. And so the alphabet is given to all the nations. It's mandatory. And all the nations make sure that you learn that, because it's what energizes a soul to become active in a society and be able to follow orders. And, create an alphabetized society. Alphabetized is my term for making everything behave like a father of creation. All right, but let me take you here to what I'm talking about, to my, no, not that. Let me take you to the thing I wanted to share. Oh, yeah, the coin. Yeah, okay, we're going to see this, because this is to show you the sleight of hand, how it happens, and you're going to learn a trick or two here, and then we're going to talk about this thing, okay? All right, let me see if I can. Mic is on. Okay, the mic is on. I think I'll pick it up with this mic. So let me start it here. All right, let's see. Here we go.
Okay, if you're only ever going to learn one trick, this is the trick to learn, because it allows you to take an object such as a coin and to pass the object to a person and to make it totally vanish. Okay, so if it is a magic coin, yeah, you've got to keep holding it tight this time. Hear me? Hold it tight for me this time. Don't let go of it this time. Man, what's going on? Oh, it's there this time. One last time, okay? Okay, hold it as tight as you can for me. Do you know where it is this time? Do you know? It's here. Look. Yeah? Okay, here's how we do this. You take a coin or any object, you can do it with a biscuit, but something that's sort of this type of size, and we place it in the fingertips. And what we do is we come in to grab the coin and hand it over to them. But what actually happens is, as we come in, the coin just drops into this hand, so we come away with nothing, but they believe it's still in this hand, okay? This is the longest explanation there's going to be, so please bear with this. Okay, here we go. Right, so you place the coin in your fingers like so, and it's important that you point the fingers slightly above the eye line of the person watching. If you point them too low, when you drop the coin, they will see the coin drop. If you point them too high, they won't see the coin in the first place. So you point the fingers like so that when it drops out of their view, okay? So it goes from here to there. Right. As the right hand comes in, the point we drop the coin is when I tap the fingertips with these. So I tap and it drops. I tap and the coin drops. Dink, like so, okay? So I come in, tap, it drops, and all I do is come away with what appears to be a coin, but it is nothing, okay? So we tap and come away with nothing. The way to practice this trick is in front of a mirror. And what you need to do is stand in front of a mirror and pick the coin up. Actually take it from your fingers. That's what it looks like when I pick the coin up. So when you do the trick, it should look exactly the same as when you do it for real, okay? So we come in, tap, come away, and there we go. Now, what happens at this point, and this is a wonderful thing in magic, is anything coming towards you attracts your total attention, okay? Anything moving away from you is not so important. So as we do this hand comes forward, and all this other hand does is just drop by your side. The coin is just held in your fingers like that. You don't have to grip it or make a big fuss about it. It will just sit there naturally. So you've gone like that, you come forward, the coin just hangs down there, you pass it to them, and they're amazed that it has gone. You need to be amazed as well. And then here we go, the big finish, the absolute classic of magic, finding it behind their ear. You just reach in and pull it out from behind their ear. I don't know why we pull it from behind an ear, but we just do, and kids just love it.
Okay, so I will stop there, but I was thinking of this trick of pulling it behind the ear, okay, because remember the famous words in Deuteronomy 6:4, hear, O Israel, which in Hebrew is Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad, so to hear, because all that God requires, He giving you instructions. So that is the prayer that is required for Jewish people to say twice a day. But Shema, O Israel, is to hear, listen, my ear has thou prepared, even though in Hebrew it's translating, a body has thou prepared, which is a misrepresentation of what is in Psalms. But it's interesting, God is interested in you hearing. So it is because through the hearing that we get the instructions, and everybody uses it. You go to work for any company, you got to listen and pay attention, you got to hear. So it's important that your hearing is very attentively drawn to it, because that's all you need to follow instructions. You just need to listen and hear. And so that's all the Bible just insists on, that you have to hear. So there's a way in which they can take a verse, like the other religions have come out. Let me put this down because the thing is picking up some high pitch in here. The other religions that come out, what they do is, the Torah is the original one. And so they take verses from here and there, not a whole portion, just a little selected verses, and then say, oh, okay, that sounds biblical, that sounds from the Old Testament. And so then they add the whole narrative. So it's what I call processed food for the soul. The original 304,805 Hebrew letters of the Torah, that's the solid food diet for the soul that He gave it in the Hebrew, with the testimony of those letters representing the functionality behind each letter. You have to understand. So that is the original diet given to us, okay? But other Pesels, which is, Pesel is Hebrew for, graven image, the narratives that come along for the mind, they take verses here and there, and then they take you into their own story. Because the thing of man is that he wants to understand, As long as you get some understanding, you want to identify, with the speaker and want to see his point of view and where he's coming from, all right? So that's how things start. And so they take you from what God wants you to do with the alphabet. Everybody uses the alphabet to promote their book, to promote their manual. So the alphabet is the father and founder of everything that has ever been made by words. Okay, that's what the Torah teaches. That's why it calls the Father Ab, Alefbet, Alefbet. Very simple things like that. And so you gotta understand the trickery. So he's saying, I don't know why this trick is done like that, but I like it that it's done that way because that's how, they put it and they get out of your ear, they pull you into another narrative. They take you into someplace else. That the Torah has nothing to do with elevating the alphabet in you to be a father and mother to all in the here and now, which is the purpose of the Torah, okay? But so you understand the sleight of hand. So there's such thing as what I call sleight of handbook. You're taking away from the original, reliable Alefbetisized handbook, Torah, T.O.R.A.H, to the other redefined alphabetized handbooks, the other Torahs, which I wanted to take you back to what I was talking about, the picture here. Let me see. All right. So, as you can see here on this side here, let me take it here. So, the light of the Torah, that was given to us. The light of that's T.O.R.A.H, the officially regulating Alefbetisized handbook. All right. And Alefbetisized is a term that I came up with because alphabet, Alefbet, in Hebrew means father, and the alphabet is taught to the Jewish people, at the age of 3 from the Torah. They teach it to them. But I call it alphabetized in the sense that you got to make sure that every word that you learn in this world is up to par with being a father, not just a consumer. Not just to know a car, to be a consumer of a car, but to know a car so you can make a car. So to alphabetize a word is to make a car, stop being a consumer and being a producer. So that's what will put you on top of everything in the world. When you are the kind of person that takes words not to be echo chambers, but to be an economy, because you can make something work, you can produce something. You take a TV to make TVs, then you can make an economy and not just be an echo chamber as a consumer that's asking for something, not just be a parrot or a repeater. So the light of the officially regulating Alefbetisized handbook is to teach us that the alphabet that we're going to receive is for the purpose of utilizing it in the same way that God used it from the very beginning. How did he use the alphabet for? To create the whole world, to sustain it, to maintain it, to refresh it, to renew it. And for that purpose, all that the only thing that is reality to God is meanings and definitions. Meanings and definitions is what he holds on to and what he expects you and I to hold on to. And that's exactly what every company that you go to work for to create any product or service, they don't expect you to grab onto the product and grab onto the service and take it home. They expect you to just give it to the customer and for you to store within you the meanings and definitions of how to render that product and that service in the proper way. And so that's what's given to you. So God is exactly the same. God created you for you to know his mindset, for you to know the way that he utilizes the alphabet, and that's why he gave us a Torah, the owner's manual on how to use the alphabet in the here and now. And so he set up with 613 mitzvahs. Mitzvahs are nothing but connection to his mindset, connection to his breath, to the nature of the spirit. So that we will be in the same mindset and understand that what is reality to God is meanings and definitions, which inside of us is like air, because they don't weigh anything, but they are understandable enough so you can make you be the generator of products and services, the one that lays out the golden goose for all the corporations because you create their valuables. You are the golden goose that generates all those valuables for them. And so that's why it's important to God that you have the alphabet because it puts you on top of things, makes you a creator, makes you understand the mindset of a creator, not just be a consumer. And so that's the light of the officially regulating alphabetized handbook. That's the Torah that was given to us at the beginning. Okay? And so to remind you of that, I have the picture here in the middle. Let me move it to here. Remember when we played this part of the opening of the Red Sea? All right? Which is translated Red Sea in English, but it's actually the reed. Because reed is where the papyrus come from. The little thing that was used instead of the quill came afterwards, but the reed is also a stick that was used to write, So when God opened the Red Sea, which is the area where a lot of the papyrus grow, so that was just pointing to the Torah. Because even the opening of the parting of the waves is like the scroll that you see here in the middle. You see that the scroll of the Torah at the bottom here? You see that? So that's pointing out, so that idea of opening the Red Sea, well, it was just a trailer to the Torah that was going to be coming out of the Jewish people. Because those are the solutions that link you. The Torah is the mindset of God upon earth. There's the panim, the face of God speaking on us. It's the face of God breathing back on us. You know, you're like he breathed life onto Adam. When we open the Torah, that's the panim, that's the face of God breathing life, you know, into the people that receive that direct knowledge from him and understand his mindset and how it connects to him. And so that was the whole idea. And so this manual, you know, that directs how something needs to be done is what saves companies. It's what saves a corporation. It's what saves a nation. You know, like I was telling you, like I worked for, you know, for U.S. CIS, United States Citizenship and Immigration Services, you know, as an interpreter for them. And even though I do not desire to be a citizen, I'm happy to be a permanent resident, because to me all of the nations are below the Torah level of understanding where you need to have to be connected to God. So the only thing that appeals to me is the Torah and his, you know, on his mitzvahs. But all the nations are below that, so there's no need for me to incorporate. To me, that's my life and everything. You understand? So, but in any case, they offered me that job because I interpret, and I was able to. That's how I come to learn about the Constitution, because I had to give the test, you know, to become a citizenship. I had to give the test. I had to translate and all that. So I was, in a way, because of the job, first to learn that. So then you find out that the people that come out of the country have to learn the Constitution, have to learn the Bill of Rights, they have to learn a little bit of the history, and the people that are here have forgotten about that. But the fact is, what America is represented by is not the people that used to live in the land. It's their Constitution, the Bill of Rights, what the founding fathers stood for. So if you do not retain that inside of you, you're not able to project the nation that you're supposed to be representing. So don't fool yourself. If you do not know the Constitution, you do not know the United States. You're here just like a piece of dust that lays on the ground. You know better because you don't know how to take care of the country. So anybody can sway you and take you into every direction. So unless you know exactly what the parents represented and you can live up to them, you know exactly, then you'll know when people are violating, you know, the Bill of Rights, when they're violating the Constitution, you will know all these things, you know. But as it is right now, there people are just getting away with murder, doing all kinds of legislation and everything they want to, you know, just for the sake of trying to cater for different people, for whatever mentality, and they forgot what the documents stand for. So that's how you lose a nation. But you lose anything like that, any company has to make sure that you uphold the manual that the company represents. Otherwise, the product will not be rendered the way it's supposed to be rendered. So everything goes point to that. So the Torah, I call it here the torrential decay, because after the Torah, they came out all these books that are nothing but different monuments for the head to keep in there that drives. It's like the Torah rusting away into something else, you know. It's no longer relevant for the utilization of the alphabet inside of us to become a father and mother-to-all, which is the aim of the Torah, but it's now fallen into all different histories, and so we get involved into all kinds of things. So at the end of it, you know, so what happens is, you know, we end up having the other books that come after the Torah. I call this the slide of the other redefined alphabetized handbooks. Because, you know, they do it in a certain order. There's an order to do this trick. They show you how the trick was done. There's a certain order to it. And you have to follow that order, otherwise the trick doesn't work. Okay, so there's an order to everything. So the other redefined alphabetized handbooks, I call that everything that was written after the Torah. Okay, so the Torah is the papyrus solution, because that's what it means. The opening of the Red Sea, the sea is the solutions. See, so you have to interpret the functionality, the solution. So God was pointing out. That's why the whole time that they were in the desert, they always were by the Red Sea. You know, and God, it says that, it mentions that on purpose, because God was saying that they always abide by the Torah, by the papyrus solutions. They read us the papyrus. So they always were reading the Red Sea. That means they were attending to the Torah. You know, people lose sight of what that you know, that functionality, and that's what God is aiming at. But this whole thing was like that. God wanted them to keep opening the Torah so that his face will be breathing on them, and they will be connected to his breath, because that was the meaning of it. So that's how the sleight of the hand comes in. So they take a verse in here, and then they take you into their story. You know, and they create the whole narrative of whatever worlds, imaginary worlds they want to take you, that have nothing to do with the enrichment that you have in the here and now. Okay, so let me from here take you to the lesson that I wanted to talk to you about here. Let me see. Yeah. And this one, okay, no, let me take you to the other one here. To this one is better. All right. And okay, let's see how we do with the time. We're doing okay. We're doing all right with the time. All right, let me take you over here. Okay, this is important lesson for today. All right. So Genesis 1:1, in the beginning, or in Hebrew, Reshit, which is the head of a woman. That's specifically the word Reshit means head of a woman. You know, but also in the functionality, since the head is on top, you can call that the beginning, or at the summit, or at the start, or the main one. You know, all this is functionality. In Hebrew, it goes by the functionality of the word. So in the beginning, or in the Reshit, and I call that wisdom because in Proverbs, the book that Solomon dedicated to wisdom, you know, he called it that wisdom is the principal thing. And that means wisdom is the Reshit, you know, and the Reshit is the head of the woman. So that's why wisdom is portrayed as a female, you know, figure. So wisdom in the beginning, as it's in the wisdom of God, you know, in the wisdom of Elohim, in the wisdom, Elohim created the heaven and the earth. So that's the thing that we have to understand. So in the wisdom, in the mindset of God, that's what we have to enter into the utilization of the alphabet. So for functionality, to make sure that things work. So here I put, to understand the functionality. That's another way in which this nation, this whole world has forgotten that for the Creator, what matters is for something to work. That's why as soon as something was made, and God saw that it was good, that's the word tub. That means God saw that it was functional, that it's supposed to work for the what we has created. Just like every creator makes a car, they have to run the test to make sure that it functions. Everybody that makes a product, they have to test it to make sure that it functions and it does the job it's supposed to do. So the same thing here. So I'm going to compare here the two things that are here present in the here and now, in which God reveals his character of being breath. Breath means spirit, okay? And being, because we came from the breath of God. We came from the kiss of God. Adam did. And so do we when we read the Torah. We're still being kissed by God. The panim, the face of God, you know, is speaking to us and breathing upon us. So the air, so I call that a all-inclusive regenerator, because that's what the air does. I go to the functionality. The air carries that oxygen that we need, and it keeps us alive. That's a regeneration of life. So the air, the all-inclusive regenerator, because it does that to all flesh. All flesh that occupies oxygen, the air is able to do that. It's all-inclusive. So not only the flesh of mankind, but the flesh of all animals and beasts that you can imagine. So the air, the all-inclusive regenerator, and the word. Okay, because I'm comparing two of them here. That is the wholesome, orderly regulations describer. That's what a word is. A wholesome word, you know, orderly, it gives you the regulations and it describes. So a word that is a car, it gives you all the order in which the car is put together, and it describes the rules how to put it together. So that's what a wholesome word is. So the air, which is an all-inclusive regenerator, and the word, which is a wholesome, orderly regulations describer, unanimously share the functionality of breath. Okay? Because when God tells you something, it's not just to see what it is or to sense what it is, but to understand the functionality. Because he's interested in what something functions. What is the air that is out there does for this body of flesh? All the air carries the oxygen, and it keeps us alive on a second-by-second basis. It brings that. So we are resuscitated on a second-by-second basis. We are resurrected on a second-by-second basis. We are regenerated on a second-by-second basis. We are healed because it takes all the bad stuff out of our lungs, gives us all the good stuff. So it gives us that, you know. We're in intimacy with life on a second-by-second basis. So this resurrection is taking place on a second-by-second basis. Resuscitation is taking place on a second-by-second basis. This refreshing is taking place on a second-by-second basis. This restoration of life, refreshing, the maintenance, all of that is happening on a second-by-second basis in the here and now. And it doesn't stop, non-stop, because it's effectual, is indispensable, is necessary. It cannot stop. So the resurrector of this body, which is the air that we breathe, the oxygen, is here. We can enjoy it 24/7. It's not anywhere in heaven, it's nowhere else. It's right here, in the here and now. Okay? And so the next thing is, since the air is able to do this for this physical body, what can the soul that is inside of us do that is similar, to what the air does for this body? Okay, so the soul, since it's made out of the breath of God, the soul is able to take words, right? Take words from the alphabet, and is able to learn the meanings and definitions of those words. Let's say you work for a car company or a TV company or a computer company. You learn the meanings and definitions of that word, and 24/7 you can take care of that product. You can refresh it, you can restore it, you can renew it, you can keep it new, you can keep it activated, you can keep it alive. You are the one that resurrects the product, you are the one that resuscitates the product. You see the combination of the functionality. So your soul begins to behave like breath. It's able to resuscitate, it's able to refresh, it's able to restore. The same functionality that it does to this body of flesh, you can do to all the work of your hands. So that's where the soul is able to imitate the air. So it's in the functionality in which have that resemblance. So that's what is important to understand. So the air and the word resemble each other in the functionality. So just like the air, the breath, physical breath brings resurrection, and refreshing to this body. Our soul, full with meanings and definitions, bring resurrection and refreshing to everything made by the work of our hands, and to the words that we have in us, so that word in us will be a producer of products and services. And so that's where we have to see the comparison, and that's where we act like spirit. That's our behavior in the act that we act like breath. Okay, and so for breath I put a functionality, so we won't forget. What's the functionality of breath that it does? Is builders. That is the functionality of breath. Builders, resurrecting economies as terra nova heavens. Okay? So, that's what it is. A word that is a wholesome word in you. If you know how to make a car, you have a whole economy. That word is a builder, resurrecting economies. Because you hold that word inside of you, and it just brings everything to life. And it keeps it new. Because once you work in a company, you are the one that keeps the product new. As terra nova heavens. And I call it heavens because heavens is the place from where we get everything 24/7 that gives restoration. We get the water from the heaven. We get the sunlight that works with the photosynthesis to create the life and the oxygen of the plants. The whole cycle of it is in the heavens. The light, the air, the water, the clouds, the refreshing, everything is there 24/7 for the sustenance of the flesh. So then once we have that in us, a wholesome word, that's what it becomes. A wholesome word in us that is full of meanings and definitions is all of this. It's breath. It's animation. It's reactivation, for any product and service. So that wholesome word inside of us is a builder, resurrecting economy as terra nova heavens. That's what the whole breath is. And that's the functionality. And that's what breath does in this. So that's where we understand that there's a unanimous share, unanimously share this functionality of breath. Okay? And so, let me see here. So therefore, the purpose of the Torah, as I explained last week, I'm reviewing this because this is very heavy stuff. You don't hear it. People don't get deep into stuff enough to teach you, to make you understand this and connect with everything that's happening in the world. So basically, what the Torah wants to teach you is to teach you how to breathe. Okay? Because you understand the word Torah, and I put here in the middle here. Let me just get this is a refresher from before. Because the word Torah comes from this word that is read, from right to left. Tab, Vav, Resh, He. Okay? Tab, which is the letter that stands for the cross, mark, sign, or covenant. That's like a letter that stands for the target, for an object, for main, to focus on something, to aim at something. And this is the Vav, is like a hook or a peg, that connects, or fuses, joins things together, the functionality of joining. And Resh is the head. Head stands for first, above, for the principality. Main, first of all of that is the functionality of prominence, of being a priority. And He. He is represented in the old pictorial graphic, but this little guy is all animated because He also represents a window, is also represent the breath, the nostril that's open up. It's for the air, it's for breath. So He represents breath. And according to Jewish tradition, he say that the sages say that the first letter that God ever spoke is Hey, because that's the word for breath. Hey. So of course, when he opens his mouth, of course the first thing is going to come is breath. So Hey has to be the first word that he spoke, because from the breath of God, everything has been made, including our souls. He had to speak everything into existence, and he had to use the Hey in order to speak. So as God Amar, God said, the word Amar, I like because that's the word God said, and then he spoke his Dabar, which is the word, that's the structure of economies, wholesome words. So when you put it together, the Tab, the Vav, the Resh, and the Hey, what does those 4 letters mean? Then we go here. Okay? So, let me put it here so you can see the whole thing. Yeah. So it means focusing or aiming to fuse or to connect or to hook up mainly or primarily to breath. So the objective of the word Torah, it means that the boss or the creator, he made you for a purpose. So God, I'm going to give you the alphabet, and I'm going to show you how to use the alphabet to aim at fusing, and mainly, and that's the Resh, or primarily, or that's the Resh at the head, yeah, or being focus to fuse or to connect with my head, or the mindset of the breath, because primarily, mainly, all of that is the Resh. So focus or aim to fuse mainly or primarily to the mindset of the breath. Okay? So that's what the whole purpose. So that's what the Torah was given. Because we are supposed to connect with who he is, a spirit, and how he takes care of everything. And he reveals himself in the air that we breathe. He reveals what he is to us, that he's constantly being the resurrector, and he reveals in the way that our soul behaves once it encapsulates a wholesome word, that he can do that as well. So in all of that, God is making himself manifest in the here and now. All right? And so how to breathe is the lesson, therefore, of the Torah. How to breathe, it means how to build resurrecting economies of T.o.r.A.H, heavenly environments. So that's what he wants to teach us. He wants to teach us to take words and not just to be echo chambers and repeat them like a parrot does, and not be any better than the parrot because you just want to be a consumer. And a consumer, by the way, consuming is the functionality of what? Of fire. Fire, all it does is consume and eats away. So if you don't want to be a consumer, to eat away a product or service, and all you can do, you have nothing but the functionality of fire. That's why it says the wicked or the dysfunctional shall be converted into Sheol. Because Sheol is hell, and hell has the functionality, of consuming. And all the nations that forget God, that forgot the giver or the governing operations director, the one that tells you how things should be put together. You forget who God is, you cannot help it but be a consumer, and therefore you're transformed from being a producer that you could have been, if you know the meaning of the definition, into being a consumer. And that's where you share the functionality of Sheol. So the wicked or the dysfunctional that forget God, the governing operations director, shall be converted into hell, and all the nations that forget God. So that's in the functionality for the here and now, and that's what happens in the here and now. If you do not know the word in the fullness of the meaning, you can only be a consumer, and therefore you are the Sheol that eats away all the products and services in the here and now. Because that's what the Torah teaches you, to see all the connectedness for the here and now. All right? So that's basically the lesson. So we are here, how to breathe, how to build resurrecting economies of T.o.r.A.H heavenly environments. And that's what we made out of each word. So it's a primer for the highest CEOs. I remember that CEOs is a domain I have, which eventually I'm going to be using it for this. A primer for the highest CEOs, that is the consciousness elevation of salvation or sense making. So that's the whole thing. That's what the Torah is. It's a primer for the highest consciousness elevation of salvation. Salvation being what the Torah is, the manual that tells you how something runs. And everybody has a little Torah for their, to run their business, the training, orderly regulating all hirelings of the Torah that people have. But basically, what I'm getting at is this. So the Torah, which is equal law, we translated in English as law, and already I told you that the Tab, the Resh, and the Vav and the He are the main words. So these are teachings overtly reproducing Alefbetisized handyman. Okay? Because that's what they do. When you learn to have the mindset of the Maker, and you know that the greatest asset that you have upon earth is the alphabet, and to have it full with meanings and definitions so you can render any products and service that people ask of you, you are the top of the game. You know, you're on top of things, you are the leader of everything. So, the Torah, its teachings overtly reproducing Alefbetisized handyman, was given for us to raise the body of F.L.A.H. Okay, and the body of F.L.A.H. is the illumination which is composed of the alphabet to be robust, they put my hand here, robust and full of health. Therefore, to secure that this body of revelation is always able to have a strong constitution, we are taught the way, that is, the words and yearnings that can enable us to experience the work of the breath. Okay? The work of the breath, which I already told you what that stands for. Connecting us or hooking us up to breath. And as T.o.r.A.H, that can enable us to experience the work of the breath, connecting us or hooking us up to breath. Okay, period. And then it starts I start to describe what the word breath, and I break it down here. The work of the building or business resurrecting economies of T.o.r.A.H heavens, hooking us up to build resurrecting economies of T.o.r.A.H heavens, that is the meaning of Yud-He-Vav-He. So when you break out each letter, Yud-He-Vav-He, that's exactly what each one of them, because Yud is the little hand here that stands for work, hand of work, and He is the breath, and the Vav is the connector, and He is again the breath. So the work of the breath connecting us or hooking us up or fusing us with breath, that's the meaning of Yud-He-Vav-He. You know, He wants to do the work of connecting who He is, a spirit, He being His spirit, connecting us with us who are made from His breath. And so that's why also for anything that you work, for any work that you do with a wholesome word, that's exactly what you do too. You become a breath to that product and service to reanimate it, and that's where you have the manifestation of the name of God, Yud-He-Vav-He. Every work that you do, where you take a wholesome word to connect to another wholesome word, so you can run a whole company, you are manifesting the expression of Yud-He-Vav-He. And that's how you experience the presence of God, when you understand the Torah and you see Him in every action that you do. Okay, so these are deep stuff, and I know I'm going over this again because nobody is teaching this stuff, but it's there. You know, we want to get back to the origin. For that, we were created for that purpose. Okay, so that's where we are. So now let me take you here to the bottom, because this is good stuff here at the bottom here. Now, question. Okay, so the question is, when and where do we get to have, for the best care of our bodies made of flesh and of F.L.A.H, that is the body in charge of all the work of our hands, the one and only unanimously functionally, for the one and only unanimous functionality of the divine breath, I told you what breath stands for, through which He has empirically proven over and over again that He is the only true resurrecting agent, healer, water master controller, provider, renewer, restorer, refresher, and multiplier of many loads of life-sustaining benefits. When and where do we get to have this one functionality that does all of that? The answer is in the here and now. So I call it in the here and nowism, because this is what I'm teaching. In the here and nowism, ending schisms. Okay, because it's in the here and nowism that this is happening. Where are our body getting resurrected second by second? In the here and now, with the air. Where are the products and services that we can make getting resurrected, refreshed, and renewed? In the here and now. In the wholesome words that we can make, so that the Alefbet in us is a father and mother to all. And that's where we have everything. So what happens is that these cells come along, and they take away, so answer in the here and nowism, ending schisms and ending divisions. So so put here's oneness. So this whole big sentence, ongoing, nurturing economies, nourishing ecstatically, sense-making solutions. That's what we do in the here and now with the wholesome words. We want to keep them like that, and so we are happy to keep them a wholesome word because that's how we run the economy. All the economies are kept because we are a breath. We are the oxygen to keep alive and keep animated that product and service, and all that is happening. And everybody in the company is working as one, making sure that that is done. Everybody knows. I don't care what race you're in. If you're in a company making a product and service, in that environment, there's oneness because you have to be mindful of what you're doing for the here and now. You have to be present. You have to be there, focusing, aiming on what you're doing so you can be a breath. You can be an animator and an oxygen to that product. So there's oneness. In the workplace, here's oneness. Ongoing, nurturing economies, nourishing, ecstatically, sense-making solutions. You're making sure that the word stays intact, it stays coherent. Okay? So this is the whole thing that we're trying to understand. So then, therefore, you understand that as the air here, the air behind the body, the whole blue sky and everything and the water gives life 24/7 to this body. You take the word, and you fill it up with meanings and definitions. That's the word, means the bar here. And that's 206 because that's the numerical value of the bar, but it's also the number of bones in our skeleton, of the adult skeleton, is 206 bones. So our bodies have the structure, and the bar is word, which is the structure, and we fill it with meanings and definitions. So then that we have a word, the meaning and definition, that word has a muscle, to become the life to the environment here, to any environment or anything made by the word of our hands. So once we have our soul full with meanings and definitions, what can we do? We can run the Alefbet Inc. Let me take you to this one. I think I have this at the beginning, if I'm not mistaken. Alefbet Inc. Yeah, here we go. We can run the Alefbet Inc. All right? I'm borrowing this from Larry Page and Sergey Brin. They're creating a parent company called Alefbet Inc., in which they put all themselves underneath that, Google and all the other companies that they have, because they figure, for one thing, since they are a search engine, we put ourselves as Alefbet. No matter what search engine works, they wouldn't be coming out first, so that was a very smart move. But on top of that, they also put it as a parent, an umbrella company on which hosts all the companies with the different names. They can be put under the alphabet because it's the order of things, right? So the perfect move. This was done in October 15, 2015, I believe. But the fact is, my friends, that you and I are the ones. They may have a building. They may have a building that has all the different company names. But at the end of the day, it's the workers in there that take on the book on their manuals, and drink it all up with all the meanings and definitions, with all the measurements and descriptions. I like that MD, because MD stands for the mom and dad. Mom and dad produces meanings and definitions, make a word productive. Measures and measurements and descriptions, that's also the same. So all this M and D, because remember that the wicked are like the troubled sea, whose waters cast out, whose solutions cast out what? Mire and dirt. Their M and D consists of the products made out of the mud and the dust. And that's what the whole world has to brag about. Look at what I have bought from the mud and the dust. This house, this car, everything for the products of the mud and the dust. And that's what they depend on. Because that's the wicked, that's the whole thing. They identify as bricks instead of breath. Okay, so they have to pile up a lot of stuff. When we identify as breath, we blend in. We fuse in with the character of God. We understand that He is the one flowing in us. He's the one manifesting in us. Whenever we have a wholesome word, He manifests that He is the resurrection. He manifests that He is the resuscitator. He manifests that He is the healer. He manifests all of that in the here and now. And that's what is happening. In all of these companies that you can see here, there are all these little souls in there that can take the alphabet, and they become the ones that are sustaining it. But nobody gives them the credit because they want to keep an external value system going. And that's where all the P.A.C.L.s come in. And that's how they rub you blind. Okay? And so that's what I'm trying to show you here. So that's what we're looking at today. So there's a lot of stuff. So, I want to be sharing the stuff that I talk about on Sunday after we're done with the prices, with the money giving out away, because we're going to get moved to that next right now. But this is the main thing that I wanted you to understand, how how then something is robbed from you. Okay, so when the soul is that, so the way it happens is, okay, so let me take you to this. So the Torah torrential decay, I call it, because the Torah was the first one given for the purpose of how to treat the alphabet as to remain as the F.M.T.A, the father and mother to all, because you hoard on, you pile up all the definitions and meanings that you can get onto, because that's the way you stay on top of things. While the world of the mire and dirt, of the mud and the dust, they pile all the dust that they can get, because that's how they can be great in this world. All right? Because that's already building corrosiveness. That's building rusting. When you are a person that has to pile things from this world, that means your soul has rusted away. So all this piling up of things that you have to show, that shows that your soul is rusted, it's corrosive, it's corrupted. Okay? But when you have the word, you're holding on to breath. You can restore, you can refresh, you can make products new, you can restore, you can maintain them. And that's how you show that you're alive. Okay? So that's why here in the middle, so we get to the middle here. So what we have is all the other breakdowns. So the way that, like I showed you before, the way that the slide of the handbook takes place, like for example, take the New Testament over here. They take verses, I quote from the Old Testament, that they call the Old Testament. But this is the thing that I explain, which you're going to see in the next lesson. How is that the Bible that we have now in the 21st century is the only book that comes, it's the Bible that came with the test in it. Okay, because according to Deuteronomy 13, there was a test that was going to come to the Jewish people. A test that had to do with a prophet that came from their own land, that was also Jewish like them, but a prophet that was going to be able to do miracles, was going to be able to say prophecies, was going to be able to do all kinds of things, but it's going to tell them things that contrary to the Torah. Because the Torah says that there's only one God, Ehad. There's only one. He doesn't share his glory with nobody. He calls Israel his firstborn only. He doesn't call anybody else his firstborn. So all these things are there in the Torah. So if you start reading the Torah from the very beginning, and then if you come to the New Testament, the Testament is the test. Because in the Testament, here's the guy that's described in Deuteronomy 13, that this Jewish guy is going to come, is going to claim something else to follow as a God, like himself, for example, or to create a trinity, which is something to do with the Torah, to create another, to divide a God into three parts and say that that's one, and create something that the Torah has never talked about. And so all of that stuff, is going to come. So, and God is going to allow him to do all those things, and it's to test you if you have buried your mind, because this book in Joshua, the book of Joshua, God says to Joshua in Joshua 1:8, this book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth, but thou shalt meditate therein day and night, that thou mayest observe to do according to all that is written therein, for then thou shalt make thy words and journeyings prosperous, and then thou shalt have good success. So it's for the purpose of the word of the Torah to come out successfully, to understand the mindset of the maker. Because that's why everybody that writes a manual, what do they give you the manual for? It's for you to have a relationship with the alphabet in that manual that they had to utilize to make that product and service. But it's a strict relationship that you have to walk in a certain way and keep certain orders. Okay, that's how it is. But you have to have, everybody has a relationship with the alphabet someplace in another, in the here and now. It depends on what kind of thing you're working for. So that's what they ask you. But it's to have a strict relationship with that alphabet, but to proceed to deliver the product and service as they thought themselves it should be done. Exactly the same with God. Okay, so the only thing that is needed for you in any company or with God is to just listen and do accordingly exactly to what he says. You don't need to have a resurrection of the body or a healing of the body or anything of the body, of anything that happens, because the air is doing that wonderfully. Nothing out of the ordinary has to happen. Because even handicapped people work in companies, feeling words in the wholesome words and making products restore, renew, and refresh. So the only thing that is needed, to do the work of being a refresher, being all of that, is to just listen, is to study Torah, is to study the manual. That's all that is needed. That's why God says, Shema, just listen. Okay? And so all these things that have come, Just like the Torres at Papyrus Solution, to make buildings and to make cities, they have to use the Papyrus Solutions and books, measures and descriptions, blueprints, to create the internet that we're using to go to school. All of that is using books, all of that stuff. But at the end of the day, a lot of them robbed you from the fact that you have the resurrector here. You have the life giver here. You have the provider here. In the breath for us, and in the fact that we can create wholesome words and God manifests himself in us. It is for the here and now. We have all those riches. And so don't let anybody steal away from you. And that's the whole purpose of teaching you guys this lesson today. And so we're going to go to the question now. Let's see how we're doing here. Because, all right. So, here we are, my friends. Okay. All right. So here we are now. Time to make some money. We have three $70 prizes today. All right. Let's see who's paying attention. All right. Okay. All right, my friends. So we're going to learn something. And I'm glad some of you are participating here. Very good. By the way, the winnings, for those of you that are new here today or listening, sometimes are you, Patty Fisher. Oh, qué bueno, qué bueno, qué bueno. Gusto de verla. Okay. It's that those that win prizes here today, what I do is I pay you through Zelle. If you have a phone number that's connected to Zelle, or you have an email that's connected to Zelle, or I can pay you through Cash App. Those are the two methods that I use to pay the prices. Okay, so Cash App and yeah. So usually that's the thing, and also, since what I do also, those let me see here. Okay, let's start with the questions here. For the first, let me go all the way to the bottom because I'm going to wait to see who's going to answer now. All right. Okay. All right. First question for $70. All right. $70. All right. $70 for the first question. The main letters, or Hebrew letters for the word Torah, okay, is the Tab, the Vav, the Resh, and the Hey. Okay? The Tab, the Vav, the Resh, and the Hey. That means Torah. Now, can somebody tell me what's the meaning of all those four letters together? Let's see somebody. That's a tough one. Let me see somebody put a little attention. Having those four letters together, what's the meaning of it with each letter, the functionality of each letter? Because that's the purpose. Okay, let's see. Okay, okay, no, it's on the air flat or around. Okay, now let me go back to the one. You guys are making me laugh here. Okay, papyrus. Okay. Oh well. That's okay. That's the okay. I see a one that's close enough right now, but each one of the letters has a meaning. Tab means something, which means to aim or focus, right? And remember that Vav is the little peg or the hook, which means to connect. Okay, I'm giving you an idea here. So each letter has something. Okay, and then the Resh, you know what it stands for, and then the Hey at the end. So each letter has a meaning. So let's see if anybody pay attention to that. But so far, there's somebody that has a very close answer in the sense that that's the meaning of what, the parting of the Red Sea means, which is close enough to what that represents, the Torah. But what is the meaning of the Torah? Aha, let me see here. I see somebody. Whoa, we have Rosa Crispin, is that right? Yeah, you are the first. Okay, Rosa Crispin. Focus or aim, feels primarily to breath. Okay. Okay. All right. That's very good, Rosa. You got $70. Congratulations, Rosa Crispin. Got $70. That's the exact, because focus, or aim, that's the tab. It's like a goal or a target, okay? And to fuse, that means to connect. You see? To fuse is the word to connect, or or to be intimate. It's also part of connecting or peg, the hook. And mainly, that's the head, or primarily, she said, and to breath. Perfecto. Perfecto mundo. You did a good job there, Rosa Crystal. She get for participating there. Very good. All right. And all of you trying to do, I appreciate your attempts to help me there. All right. So, pretty good. I like that, Rosa. You had that come out first for a while. But good to see you the first answer there. Correct. All the way. So, somebody was taking good notes there. Very good. Yeah, I can see your phone is working, huh? Yeah, good answer first now. All right. Now, second question. Second question. All right. For $70. $70 for the second prize tonight. Okay. And today I taught you about how people can get to trick you, when they do the magic tricks, and they call that sleight of hand, all right? And so when people do a trick, like, the disappearing of the coin and making it come out of the back of your ear, that trick is called a sleight of hand. Now, what do I call, the trick to get you to believe in something else outside of the Torah? What do I call it here in this lesson? Okay, somebody pay attention. Okay, let's see. Okay, all right. Oh, well, yeah, Brianna got the one. Okay, let's see. I saw, I saw a sleight of hand. What the heck? Guess I saw, let me see something. Okay. Nah, no. Then Brianna got it because I saw Brian said sleight of hand and then he edited. And then so Brianna got the handbook because I saw you, Brian. You say sleight of hand, and then I saw a sleight of handbook in Brianna. Then I saw you change them, but then you edited. So then she got it first. Okay. Brianna, you got it correct without any editing. You got it correct without editing. So Brianna Duran. Well, the ladies are getting ahead of the game today. Okay, Brianna Duran got the $70. All right. Okay, let's see here now. All right. T.o.r.A. wannabe. T.o.r.A. wannabe. Okay. All right. Not bad, you guys. Good for trying, you guys. Very good. Now, let me get... all right. Now, for the other $70, so the third $70 today. All right. $70 for today. Now, let's see here. Okay. $70. Let me see for the last question. Let me see for this one. Okay. Okay. When I was showing you the companies, that, the company that Larry Page and Sergey Brin formed in October of 2015. I show you a company that they formed that is called the parent company for all their businesses. Okay? What's the name of that company? The parent company. What's the name that they give it? Okay. Now you got it, Ryan. Alefbet. Yeah. Alefbet what? Alefbet Inc. You got it enough. Okay, Brian now. All right. So, Alefbet. Exactly. Okay. Alefbet from what I wanted. All right. All right. So, there we have. So, ABC alphabet. Okay, so you tried a lot of different ways there, Andy. So you get the $30 for trying hard there. So But it's good to have you guys. It's wonderful that we're able to have this time together, and congratulations to all the winners. But let me sing a song, and then we're going to go, and I'm going to play the lesson that I preached on, the one I preached on Sunday. So we will let it play in the background. So those of you that want to watch it, you can watch it. But this is the stuff that we did on Sunday, which explains a lot of more other stuff that I was... all right, so congratulations to each one of you, all the winners. Let me see if I can put the song so we can sing it. Because now we're talking about the breath. I think this is the perfect song for the breath. See, let me put it in here. Let me put it in here. Ta-da, ta-da. And then I'm going to go into the movie for today. Let's see. All right, so here we go. Let's see if I can do it. All right, let me see. Let everything that has breath praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. Let everything that has breath praise the Lord. Let everything that has breath, let everything that has breath, oh, let everything that has breath, praise the Lord. Began. Oh, let everything that has breath, praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. Let everything that has breath praise the Lord. Let everything that has breath, let everything that has breath, oh, let everything that has breath praise the Lord. Praise ye the Lord, heaven on earth. Praise ye the Lord, who's the head above all. Praise ye the Lord. Praise Adonai. 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 Oh, let everything that has breath praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. Let everything that has breath praise the Lord. Let everything that has breath, let everything that has breath, oh, let everything that has breath praise the Lord. Let me hear you. Praise ye the Lord, heaven on earth. Praise ye the Lord, who's the head above all. Praise ye the Lord. Praise Adonai. 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 All right. So let me take you here to the cinema. so that we can watch what happened on Sunday and share that with you guys. Let me take you there now. Take you to the cinema here. Here we go. Here we are. Golden Corral. I see the reflection there in the mirror so I can see myself too. Alright. Yeah. Piggy days are back again.
Days.
Piggy days.
Oh, piggy days. I thought you said cheating days.
Yeah, and also cheating for some, yeah. But hey, I'm only doing one meal a day still, so today.
Oh, you still doing your home at?
Yeah. Yeah. Yesterday I ate with my son, but also that's when I ate it when I got over there.
Okay.
Yeah. They had a graduation celebration yesterday, and
Good news.
And I uploaded. I just uploaded about 5 minutes of what happened yesterday in the party. So that's on. And that's how we get bamboozled. So here we are. All right, we made it finally. We got a while away, but it was worth it. It's all you can eat again. Yeah, you got this stuff. The inconvenience of the mask, you know, but at least you take off when you have to eat. But other than that, really good. Good start. Summer. All right. So here we are. Okay, so today we are here at Golden Corral. Today is June 13, right?
Yeah.
By the way, I have a niece named Joan Areta, whose birthday is today. So if you happen to see this, happy birthday. But she never watches this stuff, but just in case. But this is my friend in Facebook. In any case, yeah. So I wanted to talk to you guys today about. There's a company that was formed in October 15, 2015, I believe, by Larry Page and Sergey Brin, the owners of Google. They created this company called Alefbet Inc. Because they own Google owns a lot of other little companies, and so they created this idea of Alefbet Inc. because they're like a search engine. So if you create a company that's called Alefbet, has the A at the beginning, it's easy to be found. So that's only for that purpose, but also because Alefbet means they're going to be an order. It's the beginning of order, and so they can put all the companies under that. So they decided to create an umbrella, an umbrella company that houses all the other companies under them. So they put Google and everything else they have under them. So there's a lot of companies, more than 20 companies that are housed under this name, Alefbet Inc. And now Inc. stands for incorporation, or to incorporate, to embody something. And so they might have been thinking of doing this for the sake of, not only to be the first one to be found for search engines, but actually, to think, we're going to be owning so many companies, we can put all of them under us, and that will be all inclusive of all that we represent. So this Alefbet will be a big conglomerate, owning all these companies. So it's a good name to have, so that you can own everything under that, But the thing is that before they even thought of that, that name already exists as Alefbet Incorporated. That's Hebrew, because Hebrew means father. Okay, Alefbet means father, and one thing you got to know that with God, He's the creator. And with the Creator, the only reality is meanings and definitions, because meanings and definitions allow words to be creative agents, to be parents to all the products and services. So to God, the only reality there exists is meanings and definitions, because that's all He holds on to. And so your soul has to become that house, that Alefbet, that strong building, that strong tower, that powerhouse that holds on to meanings and definitions. And meanings and definitions are not just what the manual gives you, but what you learn to take in, because you go to work and the manual is going to sit there until you look at it, and then you take in all the instructions, and then those meanings and definitions are inside of you as breath, as spirit, as oxygen that's going to animate all the products and services in that company. Okay, so that's what happens when you take it in. Then that meanings and definitions become breath, become like spirit, like oxygen inside of you, reviving all products, resurrecting everything, taking all the words of consumers that only know to get the object, and you make it a producer inside of you. So that's why the only reality, you're gonna have fellowship with the Creator. You were made in the image of the Creator. That means He wants you to stay as a creative agent. So only as you stay and remain creative in this world, that's when you have fellowship with Him in the here and now. So that's the whole idea. So He gave us the alphabet, and that means Father, because from the alphabet everything comes. You know, He's the Father and founder of everything that exists. All books, all blueprints, everything else has come from it. Okay, by the way, you can hear me from there? Okay, yes. All right, perfect.
What?
So, I'm making sure.
You're not complaining, yeah.
I have here, by the way, I have Brian, I have Rosa, and I have Annie, but I can't move the camera around because it's kind of sensitive, so we don't want to be messing up with the setup right now. I'm barely were able to set it up in here. So, but what I'm getting at is that the alphabet is something that nations understand that is very useful for everybody to have it. That's why it's mandatory that everybody learns it, because they're able to keep order in their societies, all right? But everybody's taught the alphabet, but Holly, not everybody's taught the alphabet from the Torah. And so the Jewish people have a habit of training their kids from the age of 3 to learn the Alefbet, which means alphabet, you know, from the Torah, okay? But they not necessarily teach just the Torah. They teach also the Talmud, which is the one that explains things and teachings from other teachers from before. And so along the way, because they don't teach the original pictorial Alefbet with the meaning of the Aleph with the head, you know, that means signifies strength, mighty, leadership, you know, that has a functional attribute attached to it. And the bed, that it means a floor plan, it means a house, it means a building, you know, or even the body, you know, it's a, you know, and all of that is part of a building. So they don't teach you all this functionality, so you don't connect. And so they find it, they can speak the Hebrew, they can speak the mother tongue, the sacred language of the Hebrew, but they don't know the functionality, and that's why they still don't connect. So I found out that this is very important to know the testimony of the letters, of what each letter, because God is interested in what? After He makes something, what did He do? And God saw that it was good. That means He's going to make sure that it works. The word good means functionality. Tub means that God sees, like every creator, when they make something, they got to test the product to see if it works. Because they're interested that it functions, that it does what it's supposed to do. Otherwise, what's the point? You know, just wasting your time. So the first thing after something is made, you got to make sure that it functions for something. So in the case of the alphabet, what's the best function for the alphabet? Just for us to say A, B, C, D, E and sing the song, you know, or for us to know meanings and definitions so that we can make the words that are in us be producers. That is the purpose of the alphabet, that it means Father, is for us to be creators and, you know, the ones that make things new, restore them, renew and refresh them, and we can do all of that with that stuff, you know. So that's the main concern. So I understand. So there's a purpose for us to learn the alphabet. It's not just for the sound of it. Like A, B, C, D, E, F, G. That's to sing the song and sound cute because you can make a sound. But the thing is, what the maximum that you can do with it? You know, you can use it to learn words, and not just the sound of words, but to learn words full with meanings and definitions, so that every word that comes out of you is a creator, it's an animator, it's a resurrector, it's a resuscitator, you know, it's a refresher, it's a renewer, you know, you can do all of these things. So that's the maximum elevation. So then you understand that the greatest assets that we have, because the only thing God holds on to its meaning and definition is the alphabet. But God wants to give us the alphabet, which is Himself, and we were made in His image, okay, so that we can easily, that can be deposited in our souls. That's why I think of the soul as sensor of unlimited language. Unlimited language is alphabet, because once you learn it, you can say it 1,000,000 times and you never lose it. You know, every word is like that. So you sense the alphabet, and then you can sense the meaning of it. You can get deep into the definitions of it, and then you can make a word inside of you be all that the breath is. And a constant 24/7 animator to our bodies, that's what we are to every product and service. We constantly produce it, we constantly restore it, we constantly refresh it. And so that is the comparison, you know. And so I'm going to read the verse here, and then I'm going to get into this right now from Ecclesiastes 7:29. Okay, Ecclesiastes 7:29.
I'll say, lo, say, lo, this only have I found, that God had made man upright, but they have sought out many inventions. But that word for invention is actually means like many deviations, many ways to get away from the original sin. So behold, I have this one thing I have found. That's what the preacher is saying, because the book Ecclesiastes means the book of the preacher, the book of the announcer. Okay, so the book of the announcer or the preacher says, lo, this only have I found, that God had made man upright. That means whole, complete, nothing lacking, perfect, you know, like at the beginning. With the garden, with the body, 300,000 edible plants. For the diet of the soul, 300,000 Hebrew words that can feed the soul into the character of God. Everything was perfect. So what man introduces is deficiency. So we will make completely efficient, the complete efficiency of salubriousness or salvation. You know, the CEOs, that's how we were created. The completely effective of salvation comes from the 304,805. I'm just rounding it off to 300 letters of the Torah is the perfect diet for the soul to enter into the character and the mindset, to elevate the alphabet inside of us to the highest potential of revealing the animator of all things in us, which is God. And also, the 300,000 edible plants are the ones that are the best for our bodies, to have longevity, to have luster, to have glowing, to have all this stuff that is needed. Okay, can we do any better than that? Can we offer to the body something better than these 300,000 plants can do? No. Because that we have been deprived of them, so that we are deficient. Industrialized nations just make sure that you get 200 of them, and then you yourself eat less than 20. So you mess yourself up, you know, because you've been...
coffee?
Yeah.
A regular decaf.
Regular.
All right. Well, that's fine. We're in the restaurant, so you guys can talk. No problem.
No, she was asking me to say
That way I can, you know, drink out of my cup here of the
Salud.
iced tea. Okay. So, yeah, don't worry. Anytime you want to order something, you go for it. You're still in the restaurant, you know. And so, even if you need to get up and get something, you can do it, you know, because this is gonna be on.
Can I take you guys with me?
on the thing. You can take it as long as you can keep on preaching the sermon. So in any case, okay. So what was I on now? Yes, the last thing I was saying.
The deceit for distractions.
Yeah. Okay. So, oh yeah, we talk about being deficient. So we would make, God made us completely efficient. 300,000. You cannot do better for the body than that. You know. While the world comes along, they deprive you of more than 99% by giving you only 200, access to 200, and then on top of that, they create double. You know, like 600,000, I believe, in all the companies. There's 600,000 processed foods in the supermarket. So they say, yeah, we gave you double than what God did. But it's processed foods. That means they've been stripped of the natural, original nutrients, and they have added a little calcium and a little vitamin C, and they get enriched with this and enriched with that, because you know they made it poor first, and then they add a little bit of you know, a mineral stuff that is not in their, you know, chelated form, which is liquid, which is found in the plants and stuff like that. It's not like that. It's all mineralized, it's all oxidized, it's all rusted away. Okay, and so that's what they give you. They give you double of it, but those are products that guarantee that if you get into those diets, you're gonna get diabetes, you're gonna get heart tremors, you're gonna get all kinds of deficiencies, because it's not the original garden. But that's the only way they can make money out of you. So they depend on your deficiencies, and that's how the whole world is set up. So this is what the book of the announcer or the preacher say. This thing I know, that we were made with everything perfect for long life and for the soul to elevate the Alefbet to everything. But men sought many ways of deviations, many ways of wandering off, or many inventions, many things to substitute it with, you know. So that's what came along. So what comes along is something that is less deficient. And we need to go back to the most efficient one, you know. And so, oh, Hebrew, okay. And so that's the whole idea. So the thing is, so we have to go back to the original. In the original, everything was perfect. So what we get at the end of the day, we get deficiency. You know, we don't get the efficiency that we're supposed to have. So that's part of one of my CEO's titles. You know, we need to have the constant effectiveness of salvation, or salubriousness means health. And that's what it was at the beginning. We had the constant effectiveness of salubriness because we had the 300,000 edible plants. We only had the Torah. No other thing had come along. Okay, no Quran, the Muslim what is it called? Quran. No Quran had come along. No New Testament had come along. No Bhagavad Gita. We confused this for something else. All these other writings were not in the place. So this only we had the Torah to go with. And the Torah, before it was written by Moses, a lot of people knew it from the ancestors. It goes all the way back to Abraham. Also knew it. You know, what was included in the Torah was not only the mindset of God, but the stories of everything from Genesis, how everything related. So we had the whole connectivity, and so we had access again to the Torah to go back to the attitude of the breath. Because remember, Torah, which means Tab, Vav, Resh, and He, which means the aim to connect mainly to the breath. So when we lost connectedness with the breath to identify with the nature of meaning and definition, because that's all we become, this book was given us to link us back to it, the Torah. Okay, but then other stories came after that were more deficient. Like for example, the New Testament, they quote verses here from the Torah. You know, Leviticus 17:11. You know, without the shedding of blood, there's no remission of sins. They love that one. You know, but that's just one verse that they take out of Leviticus. Then they take another verse from another place here. Paul likes to quote something from, you know, that the word is not in heaven, but it's close to it. Just got to say it, but not. He puts the name of Jesus there, and if you confess with your mouth, you know, that you shall be saved in the Romans. And he's quoting something from some verse, I forgot from where, but it's chapter 30, one of the books of the Torah. We're talking about that you can do it. You know, God has not said the word in heaven or under the sea and everything. But He has right in front of you, right in your mouth, so you can say it and do it. But they don't put that part. They don't put the part in there, so it's misquoted. So you get all this dismantled thing, that verses that are quoted out of place or not in proportion with the whole context of everything. And so that's how they take something that is defective. So you can think of all the other books that came along that quote verse here and there as processed Bible. You know, it's like processed food for the soul. So it does not make the Alefbet in you be wholesome for the here and now, because it's not capable. It's not able to feed you without understanding. Okay, for one thing, it doesn't explain what the Alefbet is in each one of the pictorial letters. So you lose a great deal right then and there. You know, because you're not connected with this world. And then you begin to think, and stories you have to keep up in your mind. You know, you think of Paul is great at telling stories that he's the highest of the Father. He sits in the throne. So you imagine Jesus, and all, you know, he tells us the stories about the things when the Messiah was not supposed to be in heaven, sitting to the right kind of God. All of that stuff is not the Messiah, because the term Messiah came from the Jewish people, and they tell you exactly what the Messiah is supposed to do. It's not supposed to rise from the dead and go up to heaven and sit at the right hand of God the Father. All this stuff has nothing has to do with the Messiah. Messiah is a word that means anointed. That's the real meaning of Mashiach, as anointed. Appears 39 times in the Tanakh, and it refers to things that have oil poured on it, like the Ark of the Covenant had oil poured on it, so it was anointed. The utensils, the forks and stuff like that, the priests used, they had oil poured on it, so those were anointed. You know, the high priest got oil poured on him, but the priest was anointed. The kings of Israel, they had oil poured on them, so they were anointed. You know, and so the people that were appointed for certain things, for example, Cyrus was not even Jewish. You know, King Cyrus, he was not even Jewish. This thing is probably going okay. But he was called anointed. That means spiritually God had chosen him. But anointed just means that you've been consecrated for a certain job that has to do with the exaltation of the Torah. The Torah never is diminished, because it's the mindset of God. God is giving the way, you know, so like, this is the way I think, and I'm going to write it down for you. So you're looking at it, and it's looking at the same as looking at the mind of God. So you can never say that can be discarded, because you can say another pesel, another narrative came along, you know, and then you can get rid of that. Now the mind of God, you can get rid of the mind of God, because we have this narrative that is processed food, you know, and then the other one can be done. But in the Torah, the Torah is always forever, for all generations. So you're going against the Torah itself, but you cannot get rid of the mindset of God. So that's the thing to understand. So this is a whole. So that's what I'm saying here. So according to this verse, everything was made perfect, whole and complete. Then we went and deviated. We went astray and created our inventions to substitute that. Okay, so which brings us to, you want to share something?
Oh, Numbers 23:19. God is not a human. He lies or a mortal. He changed his mind. He said something. He will do it. He will make a promise. He will fulfill it.
Exactly. And so when he made the Torah and he said that this for all generations, he's not about, to change his mind and create a New Testament. Oh, forget about what I said. Go for this crap now. It's not going to happen that way. So
How's God's going to come in and kill himself?
All kinds of stuff. But the thing is, the only reason why I'm addressing all of this is for us to consider this. I want you to think. Okay, the Alefbet is what we have. We all get it. All nations is mandatory for you to learn it. So you have a relationship. You and I, from the very beginning, we all have a relationship in the fact that we can receive the Alefbet, we can receive the alphabet, so we can be the containers of it, right? And not only that, we can learn words to the highest degree, in which we can teach it to others as words that are producers and makers. So this is the whole thing of learning the whole thing in the Alefbet. And we get to that here in the here and now. But it's for the here and now. So in the here and now, we have this relationship with the Alefbet, and that is called Father. So God made us for the sake of the Father, not for our sakes. So that we will rise up to his character, to become father and mother to everything that surrounds us. So we will only be the house. You see, this body and this mind, the whole thing, with the ruler of this body, which is the soul. So this is like at the bar, the picture of the bar, the house with a ruler inside, and the entrance to our mind, to our eyes. So we are the representatives of the bar here on earth to bring the representation of the word to the highest degree of being a father and mother to all. So we become the house of definitions and meanings. And that's what we have to present to the world. Because those definitions and meanings is what keep things activated. So to God, that's the only thing that is reality, right? So when you're dealing with God, you want to have fellowship with him, you're saying, I want to be a house that is full of meanings and definitions. So I can understand joy that God has in animating things, in activating things, in keeping things alive, in being the oxygen of everything. So everything depends on, what he has to say and make it work and everything, because that's how you enjoy that fellowship. So everybody has the Alefbet, but not everybody races the Alefbet inside of them to such a degree that they only want to enjoy that, so that way always feeling like, how God is in them, and that's the fellowship of God. But let me tell you something like that. So everything that is out there in the world is only a projection of meanings and definitions. When you see a car, when you see this restaurant, this whole in place, this whole structure, it comes from a blueprint. It comes from a schematic. So the real Corral in which we're in, this is only a projection of the blueprint and a schematic that was put into place to bring it, and that people have to use to sustain it and keep it running every day. So this whole thing could be, you could be saying that Golden Corral and everything, this table and everything is remade every day because it's kept by the people that know how to read the schematics and the blueprints and keep it new and refresh and restore. So everything is in reality of the meaning and definitions, and that's all God holds it, because everything is only a projection of that. When people forget about the meanings and definitions, then everything dies, cobweb form, everything begins to decay, because nobody's there to take care of it. Because we are the oxygen that keeps everything alive as long as we hold on to meanings and definitions. Okay, so that's the main thing to understand. So the thing is, once you learn that, you have that fellowship. But this is the thing. We are only conduits of the word. Okay, so we're like this vessel that takes in the word and can understand it and can project it back. But the word in of itself, that doesn't make us word. It's just like I was explaining to you got to remain humble in that sense. I explained it in the other lesson that God made us hollow so that he will be the husband that is dwelling in us, like the female has the hollow and the male has the solid part that penetrates it. So that's how God made the soul empty, because it's a female. It's referred to as female, and God the Spirit dwells in us, and he is the male. And when he's in us, then all kinds of life can come and emanate out of us, because the female and the male have that together. But the female that marries a very notorious husband is not out to take out any of his titles. Doesn't want to call herself the CEO. Doesn't want to. She is already one with him, and he's just there to promote him. That's how it is in our relationship that is based in pure love. Even with your kids, you have kids, you don't want to take anything away from them. You want to give give him stuff that you suspect that they're smart. He's a genius. You suspect that he deals with numbers. He's going to be a physicist. You give him stuff that they don't even know what it means. Well, the thing that's about love, that doesn't strip anybody away from anything, but it gives them more than what you think they're supposed to be. And the same with God. So the thing is this. We are made like a sock is made in the image of a foot. But the sock is only the conduit. That fits where the foot can fit. But just because the foot can fit inside the sock, it doesn't mean that the sock says, I'm the foot now. You know what I'm saying? It would be ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? I used to teach the kids like that. It was here are your clothes, and you can ask, why if I were to ask your clothes? So let me tell you, so are you made of fabric material? Yes, we are. All the clothes with the front. All right. So, and then you're talking to the clothes that are on top of a body. And so what are you covering? Oh, we're covering a body. All right. So tell me, all of you, that are made of fabric material, what are you? Oh, we are a body. No, you're not. You're only a covering, So you got to think of the soul as the many wardrobes, the many clothing that God wears in this world. Because His word is in many people with all the different talents to show different areas, different aspects of Him. But none of us, we are just like socks. We're just like clothing. Okay? We are perfectly fitted to carry this, but we only conduits. That's why I was explaining the word conduit means like in the job that I do as an interpreter, the best interpreter to say is the one that is just a conduit between two parties. That means this person said this and I translate exactly what the person said without adding anything. Okay, this person said, I'm gonna go to the movies, and I want to translate that into Spanish. I'm gonna go to the movies. I don't say this person said I'm gonna go to the movies. I don't say that part because then I'm putting myself in the picture. You just gotta say, I'm gonna go to the movies. Yo quiero ir a las películas. Well, you say exactly in the other language without adding anything to it. That's becoming a conduit. So that at the end of the day, you're a perfect conduit, and that's what retains you. Because the whole idea is to be, if you wanted to put yourself in the picture all the time, then you get kicked out because you cannot be in the middle of it. That's how I lose my job if I don't do it right. So you don't take the credit away, you're only a conduit. Your boss gives you the manual, you're only a conduit to his ideas. You're only a conduit to everything. A perfect passing of his ideas to you, so you can have fellowship with his mindset. That's how the soul setup is like that. So that's how we keep ourselves meek and humble, and not start taking credit for ourselves that's not ours, So it's perfectly fine.
Hi, anything else right here?
Yeah, everything else right there?
I'm fine right now. Good? Okay, I'm going to go on my lunch break, and then Gabby's going to take over. So if you guys have any questions,
thank you.
let her know, okay? Thank you.
Okay, so that's the whole idea. We got to be perfect conduits, without interfering between, and then that we do the perfect job, and it doesn't go over our head, to the top of our head. That does because God made us like vessels to contain Him. We are Him. The breath is free and everything, and we are very fortunate that we can have fellowship. So I think of the soul of censor of unlimited language, and unlimited language being the word, and we can sense it. Like you can sense it. So if you were a censor, then you can understand. If you were made to be a censor, you won't understand what's behind you. What's inside of you? The breath of God. But you're not the breath of God. You sense it because you were made to sense it. You were made to be a censor. And so that's happened with the whole religions that say, we are little gods. Stupid people talking that they don't understand. They don't understand you just because you can make something. It's like a sock saying, I'm a little foot. You made a little sock talking like that. Get out of here. You're only a sock. So it's only a sensor of something inside you. Okay. So in any case, but I digress. So the whole idea is for us to understand that. So one thing that I was talking to Brian a little bit on the way here. Oh, what's that? Somebody's birth? Okay, yeah. So we're here. You understand that we're here at the Glowing Girls, so they have to do a little happy birthdays from time to time. So, so one thing that I was explaining to him, I wanted to talk about something that I'm going to start today, but I'm going to finish it on Wednesday. And that as Alefbet, you know, when you have the complete manual, okay? So in the Alefbet, when you have the complete manual, you will know how to use the word for meanings and definitions to have a fellowship with the mindset of being a creator and staying with him all the time, you know. So that's the main thing. But also, you ever heard of the term, it's a sleight of hand, right?
Sleight of hand.
Sleight of hand. That's the term that is used by magicians. Now when they're doing tricks, they call sleight of hand. So, I mean, they use their hands and they hide stuff that way, okay? You know, like you've seen the one with the magician, also either holding a coin or a little ball, and it shows the kid, look, it's here in my hand, then he closes the hand, and then he goes like that, and he's open, and he's gone, right? And they say, wow! And then he goes behind somebody's ear, and he pulls out the coin or the ball out of somebody's ear, so it makes you think that you had it. Okay, you had it behind your ear, you know, and they take it out. You've seen the trick. That's called sleight of hand. I mean, it's using your hand to make you believe that something has appeared. You had it under your control all the time, but it transferred the idea that something that is mine is actually in you, and I can bring it out of you, and I can bring it back to you. You know, this whole things of the magic stuff. So the sleight of hand, okay. And the reason why I'm trying to bring this because so there's a trickery that goes on. And I like that trick because then they pull it out of your ear. Because all that is needed to follow the Torah is Shema. You need to hear. Okay? And that is interesting because it's just by connecting with what you hear, you understand what you were made for. By hearing, you understand your name, you understand when you were born, you understand everything just by hearing. But by hearing the wrong things, you can start believing other stuff that you're not supposed to. Huh? Refill? Anybody?
Can you get water with lemon?
Water?
With lemon?
Okay, yeah, the lemon's actually up there. I don't know if you'd like to grab it yourself.
Okay.
Do you have any kind of hot tea of any kind? Yeah, just any hot tea would be good.
Tea? Okay.
Yeah. Just the tea.
Alright, so it's going to be a coffee, a water, and a tea?
Yeah, just a hot tea, yeah. Any tea. All right.
No, back to our program.
So the sleight of hand has to do with that, so that they use their hands. But there's also what I call sleight of handbook. Okay? The original handbook is the T.o.r.A.H. The original, reliable, Alefbetisized handbook. The T.o.r.A.H. Okay? The first 5 books that we got. But somebody can come along and can take a little verse here and there and put it in their book, borrowing from the T.o.r.A.H. this and borrowing that, and then they create a whole story. And then they take you into another world with that story, you know, so they can make the whole aspect of all the qualities that belong to the breath of God that we have in the here and now, and attribute it to some character that's going to come in the future, and going to be the resurrector, going to be the reanimator, it's going to be all the things that the breath is in the here and now. So they transfer the powers of God that are in the Torah for the here and now, they transfer it to a mythical creature, even if it's a real creature. They transfer it to something in the future, so that thing has been robbed from the breath and been attributed to something outside of it. And that's how narrative is. It's called a sleight of handbook. So they create another book, they take a narrative so that you can start listening to it because, oh, it's quoting verses from the original one, and then you want to believe it, and then it takes you to another realm, you know, in which you can go for centuries after centuries with that story. You know, and that's how it has happened. That's what it's been, the sleight of hand. And another word that I wanted to introduce, which I'm going to get more into Wednesday, is from the Alefbet. We have 2 choices. From the Alefbet ink, focuses on the word ink. We have the Alefbet incantation, or what is called the Alefbet incorporation. Okay? Thank you. Huh? Yeah, we'll talk about that right now. I'll give you that. Thank you. All right.
Would you like me to take anything? Any sugars?
No, fine.
No?
No, I'm good.
Want me to take anything?
No, right now.
Deuteronomy 4:2, Revelation 22:18 through 19. Deuteronomy, it says, "Thou shalt not add or take away thy word." It's also in Revelation.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing, you know, because in Deuteronomy it says, "You cannot add or anything to the word." And then New Testament comes along, and that's a whole picel, you know, a whole story there, you know, a whole story of somebody that a Mashiach that's not even existent in the Jewish. And then they themselves say, now that we gave you this story, you're not supposed to add to this one that we made. You know, so they copy the same thing so that they also don't want anybody to take away their story that came up, you know. But the thing is, that's the whole thing. You know, I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah, it's fine. No, it's fine. I need to. I mean, that sounds good because we participate. Oh, on which one? The ones that are... Okay, because I quoted this one from here, so Ecclesiastes 7:24. God made perfect, but that's the other. But the thing is, no. But I'm saying, Alefbet means father, right? And there's this company I said at the beginning is Alefbet Inc.
Let me finish it.
No, that's right. Well, Alefbet Inc. is is the company that has Google and all the other ones. But Alefbet Inc. means incorporated, because all the people that work for them are employees and they embody the manual. They incorporate it. To incorporate means to embody, to get the manual and embody the idea and concept so you can make the product and service. And so that's the whole idea, and that's what you have to be a company. You have to be an incorporation. But when I'm bringing the word incantation, because it has ink at the beginning. Now the reason why I'm using the word incantation means like a spell, like a witchcraft thing. To say a spell so that you can create a certain effect. So you can repeat something. You can write it down, you can put a good intention on it, and then you recite it so that you can make things happen.
Law of attraction.
So that's law of attraction. All part is it's all part of
law of the Bible. The attraction of the Bible. That's I just
so they call it law of attraction. There's different ways, but there's different ways to use it so that you can manipulate this externality, this physical world, to work things in your favor. You know, but right away when you're thinking like that, when you're thinking that there's something that has to be rearranged a certain way, that this person has to like you, or this situation, the moment you're thinking like that, you're not having fellowship with meanings and definitions. You're not having fellowship with the Creator anymore. You are somehow attributing to the external world the ability to satisfy you and fulfill you in a way that only the Alefbet should do, that only the Father should do when you just live for meanings and definitions. So you're attributing something that should be satisfying to you just to having God to something out in this world. So that's called Avodah Zarah, which means idolatry. Because you're transferring the value that should only satisfy you in the breath of God to something external, and then you say it to yourself, you have convinced yourself to such a degree that things have to work this way. So I need to go to somebody and learn a method of the law of attraction to arrange things my way, learn these things, so it becomes all these little things, these things that you write, or these little writings that you believe, so you say it, you vocalize it, you say, you speak it into being, you know, you're talking like that stuff, you know, you're going to say, you're going to recite it, you're going to put intent into that, you know, and all of that stuff to make it manifest itself, because if things work, and then, so a lot of this stuff, like, all of this is part of witchcraft, by the way, it's spells, it's to the reciting of spells, so they write something down, they put intent to it, they recite it, they vocalize it, they visualize it, they say, you know, visualize it, you know, and so that's a promise. Now that's what you read, that's a promise that it's going to happen. And then you have faith that it's going to happen, and things do happen, you know, because the only magic for this world is this physical world. It's the only, all the picels, all the narratives, like Christianity that move, you know, people get healed and all this stuff. This is the only place they can do it. It's not necessary to be in fellowship with the one that holds on to meanings and definition. But that's the only thing they have to go by. That's what Egypt had, all the magicians that could pretty much imitate everything that Moses was doing, you know, because that's the only realm where they can do things. But with the trickeries, they cannot connect you with the Spirit of God. They cannot connect you with meanings and definitions and be satisfied there. It's not able to do that. So it failed miserably there. But they have the ability, you know, to create things and nothing. So you keep on believing, you know, and one thing you got to understand, I don't know if you remember when I was teaching you about King Ahab, you know, King Ahab when he had gotten together with Jehoshaphat, and they want to go to fight against the king of Syria. And said, let's go. And then Jehoshaphat said, is there a prophet of the Lord that we should consult? Because, you know, Ahab had about 400 450 prophets. He had something like, a lot of prophets, and they were all telling him, oh, the Lord is with you. You're going to win in this battle, everything. And Jehoshaphat, is there another prophet from the Lord that we can ask? Said, there's one, but I don't like it, because he always says bad things. So just don't say that. Just call him and see what he has to say. So they all got together and they went and they convinced him. Look, all the prophets that work for the king, they all say that everything. So just go along, man. Give the CNN narrative. Just tell him that everything's gonna be okay. Okay. So he said, well, whatever God tells me, I'm gonna say that. And so when he got to the king, he says, we want to go to battle. Said, what does the Lord have to say about it? And then Micah is the prophet. Micah said, well, go, O king, for thou wilt triumph and be powerful. And then the king knew he was making fun of him, He said, no, I told you not to lie to me about this stuff. He says, okay. I saw Israel without any shepherd and anybody going to their homes. Like there was no leader. I said, like, you don't mean anything. You're not a leader, So he said, then I said, didn't I tell you this guy? Did I tell you? He never says anything good about me. And then Micah proceeded to say an amazing story. Listen to this speech, because it says, I was at this meeting in heaven. They had a little get together, a little conference in heaven, and I was invited to this Zoom. It was not Zoom. It was in the spirit there. It says, and God says, what shall we do? So that Ahab goes into battle and gets killed, because that was God's plan, to get him killed in there. So what you should do so he will be convinced to do it. And so one spirit suggested this can be done. And then the other one, I listened to different ones. And one said to them, well, I will go. He says, and I will be a lying spirit in the mouth of all the prophets. And so he's going to be convinced that, he's got God behind his back. So you will go and you will succeed. That's what God told him. He told this spirit. So this spirit, there's a spirit around the throne of God that are looking for opportunities to work for God, to deceive a whole bunch of people that don't want to believe the truth. And they're asking God, can I do it? And so God allowed this one spirit to be the Holy Spirit for these 400 people and to convince them, with spiritual experience and hallelujahs and all the stuff that God was with them. And they came, and they presented to the king. We all have, we're in agreement. We felt the spirit. We said, and they felt the spirit, because the spirit said to God, I'm going to go and give him a lying sensation that you're behind him and you're going to succeed. So what does that tell you? It tells you that in the conference in heaven, there's all kinds of spirits that are willing to do anything. In other words, all the nations are controlled by God. And God says, and he suggests, because all of them have different abilities. And one spirit can inhabit thousands. You understand that? One spirit can have it's just, so in the realm of the spirits, there's all kinds of spirits that are showing that want to volunteer to do all kinds of stuff for God. And they're just waiting for God to say, okay, I'll give you my approval for that, you can do it. Because at the end of the day, it's the Torah that he exalts. That is his mindset. But will not adhere to it. They will let them follow anything else, also with the approval of a lying spirit that's been assigned for them. Bound God. And because they have volunteered. We got to understand that in the realm of God, God is not just in control of this world. God's in control of his whole realm of spirit and all his ministers that are around his throne. So everybody has a job. You know what I'm saying? So this is to give you an expansion. Because a lot of people, they're only here. They said, no, this is a big thing going on. So that's, when I read that, I said, this is an amazing thing. So there's a lot of people that feel the presence of something. There's a presence of a spirit, all right. Lying is spirit, but nonetheless it's a spirit, because it doesn't line up with the Torah and with the mindset of God. It doesn't make you be a father and mother to all things. So when you understand, when you become the house of meanings and definitions, that's what we have. And basically the meanings and definitions of the mindset of God, so we will be happy in no matter what situation that puts us in. It is the meanings and definitions that we understand, especially from the Torah, to be able to understand him, and project him in this world to his mitzvahs, and to understand that everything from taking care of families, taking care of our neighbor, all of that are mitzvahs and commandments that he gave for us, for him to be flowing through us in the here and now, and having that fellowship in the here and now, to reanimate the earth, to reanimate our families, to reactivate everything, so we can be that, children of the breath, builders, resurrecting, economies, as terra nova heavens. You know, that environment in which we keep everything new and refreshed, especially the character of our maker. Okay, so that's the main thing to understand. So what happens with incantation? Like I say, incantation is the ability to, like a spell, to write something and recite something, make a promise, and that will become your promise that you're going to get circumstances to work in your favor in this external world. Well, guess what? Everything out there, from cars to this building and everything that surrounds you, from this camera to videotaping, all of this comes from videos. It comes from meanings and definitions that tell you exactly what it's going to look like, what that's going to look like, and that's everything that comes into this realm is only a projection of the meaning and definition. Okay, so to God, this is the only reality there is. All right. So, but an incantation means a person that just takes the word without meanings and definitions and just recites it, writes it down as something that he wants to happen, you know, so that then he will believe in the environment out here in this world, that once things line up to his wishes, then he can trust in it and keep going in it. That's how the world deceives themselves, and they walk away from the Torah. But that's all part of the testing in Deuteronomy 13. I will send you one of your own people that will be able to say a dream, say a prophecy, and it's going to happen. He's going to be able to make a miracle, and it's going to happen. But all of that is because God is testing you to see if you love the Alefbet, if you love God with all of his meanings and definitions. Okay, so it's part of the test. So when you look at this book, this is what I call the only book that comes with the test at the end. Okay, the Tanakh, the 39 books of the Old Testament, comes with another test at the end. And so the test is in the New Testament, new test. So see, the Old Testament is Tanakh, okay, so everybody needs to start from the Torah. The problem is that they go with the test. The idea of the Torah is this: so you read the whole Torah, the whole mindset of God, what He's interested in bringing the Alefbet to the higher position in the here and now, when you understand all of that, and then the test is to give you a whole other story to see if it lines up with that goal. And if it tells you into another rabbit hole, another thing, what the hell are you going? Hey, wait there. You know, it's like, and that's when you realize, oh, okay, it's not lining up with the Torah. It's not for the character of the Father and having that fellowship with us and being amplified in the here and now. It has nothing to do with that. It's creating another son that is elevated to Father's status. It's creating this and that. And it's for some time in the future. What happens to the here and now? It is in the here and now that we have the resurrector. We have the Alefbet. We all know that. So it comes. The only book that comes with a test, but you have to read the whole thing from the beginning and then take the test. You read the test, and then when by not believing the test, the story that is taking you, that's how you pass the test.
So that's why Christianity starts with Matthew, and they always say we already finished his way from running it backwards.
So but the whole New Testament think of it as a test. So this is like a lot of books in school that come with it. The whole manual at the end, the test answers in there, right?
In the backwards.
But the thing with God is He gave you the thing to fall in love with the way He is and what He desires, the power you desire to have in the here and now. And now let's see. The test comes along and the test takes you into another narrative of something that is going to happen in the future. Somebody that takes the embodiment of this, because it's a slide of Handbook, takes the tricks away from the Spirit and gives it to himself, and to see if you want to say, there's a trickery there, there's a mandrake, the magician, working his magic there for you.
Crack the sky.
So that's the whole idea, that's the beauty of it. That's the perfect way of teaching it now. I can see how I can use this whole book. The reason why I was strict from the beginning, because I started with a test, and the test is the whole idea to believe in a different story anyhow. So if you don't have the original one, of course you're going to follow for the test. You're going to fall for the test. You don't have anything to compare it with. So I don't really blame a lot of Christianity, a lot of people, because a lot of them did not start with the Torah. But you understand that a lot of the Jewish people do not go into the New Testament because they have the thing and they don't believe that that's what the Messiah is supposed to do. So that's why that was the contrary. But a lot of the people from Christianity, they really don't know. They have nothing to check it with. So of course they're going to go with it. By accepting the New Testament, that's how they fail the test of the Torah. You know what I'm saying? But when you are in the Torah, and you understand the mindset of God, by not accepting the New Testament and all that, then that's how you pass the test of the Torah. You see, so it's amazing. It's like a trick question. Because they're all tricky anyhow. They want to take all the praise from the breath and give it to themselves. That's a very tricky thing. So God gives you a tricky question at the end to see if you're really paying attention to the Torah. You know, so that's why he allows all these things. Everything is perfect in place. I was just praising God to the high heaven when I understood this part. Everything is perfect. This thing, the book with the test at the end, everything. So we have to present it out there, tell the people, you know, so that the hocus pocus, you know, and you can see the magic, you know. All they did is about to transfer to some guy in here, you know. So you see, the whole thing is like, because in the Torah, there's no such thing as something like the Messiah is going to come from a virgin birth, because then you cannot trace the lineage of David, because it's supposed to be from the lineage of David. So the lineage of David comes from the parent, you know, and if it came from the virgin, that means the father did not have anything to do with that. So they stop right there. They're using that because that is part of the narrative of the Greeks and the Romans to build up, to transfer the powers of a king that became God to the son and the next generation. So everybody keeps on believing that all the kings rise up to be gods, and the kids also rise up to be gods, and they manufacture the virgin birth because of how everybody becomes a god. So it's a whole tested way for the Greeks for a long time to make gods out of people. You know, so they have encapsulated that because it's a whole blending of this and collage of all different beliefs, and that's why they became what is called the Roman Catholic Church. It's all the Empire of Rome became all Christianity. It's Rome, you know. But when you do look at Rome, E-M-O-R backwards, Hemor, that means donkey. You know, in Hebrew, Hemor, the backwards of Rome is donkey. So if you understand the Torah, you can ride the donkey. You don't have to follow the kingdom of Rome. You can ride it. That's what the Messiah is supposed to do. He's supposed to ride the donkey. He's supposed to ride the religion of Rome and not have it dominate you. So the Torah allows you to elevate yourself above the kingdom of Rome, because you see where they're coming from. It's a F.L.A.S.H to control the external world for everything governments use it. So everything in the world, everything that is written down that tells you that you have the title of a car because it says that you're the owner, the title of a house, all of those things are nothing but spells and incantations. Because at the end of the day, it's the meanings and definitions that erect the house, that build the car, and builds everything else. You know, and that's what we all need to understand. All right, so let me see. So I think I'm gonna be done with this.
Short today?
How long have we picked? Because I only have an hour 24 minutes to go on this one.
Start at 4 or something.
What time is it right now? Oh, okay. Oh, okay. So it's almost. Okay, let me see if I can see a little more here.
Part 2.
No, but this is very interesting because, you know, it's a sleight of hand that I'm explaining to you guys that that is very magnificently worked. But the thing is, why everything is done in the external world is to rob what is duly belongs, you know, to the internal breath, the spirit that is full of meanings and definitions. And another verse I was quoting to you, remember this is, the wicked are like the troubled sea. And the wicked are the people that do not work with the functionality of God. Good means tough. You work with functionality and work for the functionality of the breath. If you do not work for the functionality of the breath, you are wicked. You are dysfunctional. So the wicked or the dysfunctional are like the troubled sea. That means C is for solutions. The solutions are not the right ones that God expects. They're trouble. They're not the right solution. So the wicked are like the troubled sea, whose waters cast out mire and dirt. That's what it says. Whose waters, you know, what comes out of them. The product that comes out of them is mire and dirt. Or you can say mud and dust. All right. Oh, this close by here. We have about one close by. We're not going to compete with that. And so, I don't remember the passage right now, but maybe you guys can look it up. I know you don't have to think, but Isaiah, it's in Isaiah, but you can look at maybe with the word mire and dirt, or the wicked are like the troubled sea whose waters cast out mire and dirt. There's no peace, saith my God, unto the wicked. You know, that's the verse that says, I think it's Isaiah 59 or something. I don't remember right now exactly. I can look it up. But my quoting from that verse is that the dysfunctional are like the sea of solutions that don't create any solutions but create trouble. Like the troubled sea is a sea that is not calm, it's not pacific, it's not peaceful. You know, they're like the troubled sea who cast out. They produce products are on the mud and on the dust. And they depend on the mud and the dust, you know, to have something in this world to call their own. So they only produce the external world, the mud and the dust, mire and dust and dirt. And that's meanings and definitions. We, the righteous, we produce the MD of meaning and definitions. That's the breath that animates everything in this world. We produce the meanings and definitions that animate all the products that come from the mud and the dust. So we are the ones that supply animation and services to the mud and the dust. But we don't cling onto them. We make them, we produce them, you know, and we send them into the market. That's why in corporations, you don't hold on to the products you made. Are there for the people that are dysfunctional of that product to have it. But you hold on to that state, you know. And so the wicked produce mire and dirt. They depend on the products that made out of the mud and the dust. You know, people that made out of that, they depend on relationships, on people's bodies, having proximity to them, houses having proximity to them, all of that because that's what they identify with the reality. But we don't identify a reality with that. We identify reality with meanings and definitions because at the end of the day, meaning and definitions is what makes everything in this world. And that's the only reality of how we got. So we produce pacific, peaceful, and abundant, you know, with meanings and definitions. And the wicked is not able to do that. That's why it's in trouble. Always has to get a new upgrade because otherwise it's going to be behind, not be able to keep up with the Joneses. And able to do all that stuff because the wicked don't have abundance. You know, they have to depend on the different upgrades, so they're always in trouble. They're never peaceful. They cannot create peace, okay, because they do not hold on to meanings and definitions. They hold on to mud and dust. That's what the whole external world depends on. That's what we are liberated in the T.o.r.a.h, you know, and that's the freedom that we have, you know, because we live in the fellowship with the mindset of God, you know, because in the T.o.r.a.h, that's what we established to be. We are set up back again into the breath, you know, where the buildings, resurrecting economies, as terra nova heavens, you know, environments. So we know how to breathe, you know, how to do everything according to the T.o.r.a.h, and that's what we're talking about. So I'm gonna leave it at that. You know, I think we had even more than an hour because I don't want to, you know, all of a sudden stop on me. But so far it's been so good. And I tried to speak as much as I could, so I hope the word comes along. Otherwise, I'm just going to double the volume anyhow when I do this. Let me just close it.